And now, broadcasting to your universe, it's the Drew Mariani Show.
Nearly 4 million Syrian refugees are victims of a conflict they have no part in. Yet they are stigmatized, unwanted, and regarded as a burden. So I'm here for them, because this is their United Nations.
She's a great person, very strong person, and exceedingly intelligent.
I always wondered how he could be in a place like Pakistan, but he wanted to help those people, and it cost him his life.
This is the Drew Mariani Show on Relevant Radio.
And we're going to be joined now by His Excellency, the Archbishop of Aleppo, Syria. We're trying to make a connection to him as we talk right now. And for those of you just joining us, we really do need to pray for those who are persecuted. I had seen I was in Italy, and I had seen armed guards outside of the Duomo up in Milan, armed guards in many of the basilicas and places along those lines. And we know what happened following that. We know that in France, a couple days later, there was an arrest that took place with a man who accidentally shot himself in the foot. He shot himself and went to get help, and his intention was to shoot up some of these churches. The Duomo in Milan, I had mentioned this, I think, yesterday, took 600 years to build. 600 years, and it's a magnificent, magnificent site. If you have a chance to take a look at it online, or if you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. It's this incredible piece of Gothic architecture, and it's absolutely stunning. To think of somebody going into the Sistine Chapel or going into St. Peter's or any place, museums, and destroying art and history, it makes you sick. And I'm delighted to hear that this man was not only caught by Providence, but Italian police also rounded up some terror suspects. You might remember that failed Vatican plot, where they basically rounded up 18 Islamic extremists. I think it was today. And prosecutors said that these were the men that were behind that failed 2010 plot to attack the Vatican, as well as, bomb that Pakistani market, and where more than 100, were killed, a year earlier. So thank God for some of the intelligence taking place. But look, the faithful are suffering the world over right now, and in a special way, as I pointed out, 10 million people have fled their homes in Syria. 250,000 have been killed, and Christians have been targeted in a very direct way. I'm joined now by the Melkite Greek Archbishop of Aleppo, Archbishop Jean-Clément Jeanbart. He's beginning a week here in the States, as I said, trying to raise awareness, and that's why I want to give him some airtime to just give you perspective on what's happening with our brothers and sisters in Syria and the rest of the Middle East. Because, we live in our comfortable, our culture here. We feel safe and insulated. It's hard to really have your heart moved when situations like those who are suffering in the Middle East are so far removed from your frame of reference. But His Excellency is with us today to give us some perspective. And Archbishop, thank you for joining us. I'm delighted to have you here. Welcome.
And I'm glad to be able to meet you and to talk to our brothers in the United States. Yeah. Because I felt last journey when I came a few months ago that the American people is a very good people, and they try to understand what is happening in our country.
People are very passionate about what's happening there, and I know many people who I've spoken to wish that more could be done. For those who are not aware of how serious the situation is, I threw some stats out a little bit earlier. How desperate is the situation for Christians?
It is very, very bad situation, and they are desperate because what happened on Easter Day, on Pasqua, the same day, on Sunday of Pasqua, was terrible. And the days after, the few days after, we have received hundreds of rockets and bombs and all over the places where live the Christians, and many casualties we have had. 15 people were killed. Families were buried together, under the stones. And our church and 3 churches has been hated. One, ours, and the Maronite one, which is beside our church, and the Armenian Catholic Church too. Yeah. And our archbishopry has been destroyed, and we have to leave it and to go away and to try to get out what precious is there: icons, manuscripts, archives, and the things we will not be able to find afterward. Yeah, so we had a very, very bad week after Pasqua.
Yeah, and let's talk about that for a moment, because that really moved me. I know that there was priceless artifacts and history, documents that date back centuries and centuries that had to be left behind, and these will in turn be destroyed, won't they?
Yeah, and thank God that we have been able to save a good part of it. But we are afraid now that they may destroy the cathedral, which is a very, very important one. It has been done by our ancestors 300 years ago, and very well worked out and carved. And the iconostase is carved in marble, and things very precious. But what is important is that our people is destroyed. Many were killed, but others are psychologically destroyed. They have lost their moral, their hope. I was on a program to launch a movement. I called "Build to Stay" and "Build and Stay," calling the youth to have courage and hope in the future. And I was prepared to help them to build up what they need to have a good, better life, to restore the destructions and things like that. And came this, what we have received this after Easter, after Pasqua, and everybody is, discouraged. And myself, I try to show that I am not discouraged. That I have hope, and I am looking forward in the future that the next days will be better and this war will stop. That's why I ask our brothers in Europe, in the United States, to make what they can to pray for us and to make pressure on their politics, on the people who can decide, the decision makers, that they may do their utmost to stop this, this war, to stop this violence, to let people live. Yeah. And you have seen Europe is now considering what is happening.
That's right.
Hundreds of thousands of immigrants are going there in Europe. And if our war continue and if Syria collapse, they will have millions of people coming to them, and they will impose themselves to Europe and perhaps to the other countries. Who knows?
You're right.
If they want our people not to go to them, they must give them the possibility to live as human beings, to have the possibility to live freely, to be free, to be citizens, to have their rights, and of course their duties too, but that they may live and with their rights as a human beings. I read often in different newspapers and reviews and books in Italy, Germany, England, France, and even American. You take care of animals, you take care of everything, but you do not take care of these poor Christians suffering in our countries, of these people suffering, not just Christians, suffering in this part of the world. They are killed, they are destroyed, they are really, I do not understand. I do not understand. And it is not the fault of the people, of your people. It is the fault of the mass media, of the communication means, of the responsible. They do not make clear the things.
Right. I'm speaking today with the Melkite Greek Archbishop of Aleppo, Archbishop Jean-Clément Jeanbart. And he's trying to raise awareness of what's happening to so many Christians in Syria and the rest of the Middle East who have lost lives and who have been stripped of all their homes and really have been suffering in ways for the faith, for the love of Christ that I know some of us may even find hard to comprehend. 7.6 million people in Syria have been displaced by this fighting. 7.6 million people. Yeah. 10 million people have fled their home. 250,000 have been killed. And it's hard to get our head around those numbers. This is an international crisis, Your Excellency. And I'm just curious, are our governments not doing enough? And why is it that Christians seem so ignored?
Yeah. Your government, the European government, the government who has many Christians among their representatives, do not do enough. I am afraid to say that even bishops and archbishops in Europe are not doing enough. The Holy Father is doing, and he has taken position. He has said several times, and he has helped us not to be destroyed. 2 years ago, when he stopped the strike, which was being decided against Syria, Francis has been really a providential man. Yeah. And I hope that the bishops around the world, the Catholic bishops and the other bishops, have to see that they have a duty toward these people. And these Christians who are the first Christians, who are descendants of the first Christians who were baptized. Our ancestors were baptized the day of the Pentecost in Jerusalem by the apostles themselves, Peter and the other apostles.
That's right.
If you read the Acts of the Apostles, and this chapter, there were 3,000 people coming baptized this day. And there were thousands and thousands coming from around Palestine, from Syria, from North Lebanon, South Lebanon, Damascus, Sawaida, Dara, Haran. All these people, they were Jews, and they used to go to Jerusalem for the Pentecost Fest.
Bishop, I need to interrupt you just for a moment because I only have about a moment left, and I want to allow you to tell people how they can help. What can we do to help?
Yeah.
Before we run out of time, you have about a minute.
Yes. What do you want to know?
How can we help you?
You can help us. First of all, talking about us and asking who can do something to push toward peace. And you can help us also supporting us to help our people not to be in misery, to continue to live in the country. We need you to support us to help the people who are remaining in the country, not just those who are in camps, who are helped by the United Nations and by the International Red Cross, etc. The people who are at home, who are in the cities, Aleppo and other cities, who are dwelling there and remaining in the country.
Your Excellency, I want to thank you for being with me. I'm out of time for the day. I'll post information on how people can help at my webpage. God bless everyone.